Shout out to Cats Pod.
1 second. A big defensive play for Montana State.
Touchdown, Tommy Milan is electrifying.
Welcome to the Cats Pod. Ben Christian's here, the Cats Pod, joined by my highly industrious co-host. It's highly industrious this week, Eric Laver. Also, we are joined by, we have to give some major respect to this man because most fans have been avoiding us all week long. Yeah. And this fan, this Grizz fan decided that he was going to come right back on the pod to just deal with us, talking probably mostly trash to him. Welcome back to the podcast, Brad Armour.
Hey, thank you, man. Sure appreciate you jumping on.
Thank you for having me on. Long-time listener, second-time caller. I appreciate you having me on.
I had to pull it on there, I had to let him know.
So I take it you made it back from Frisco, all right?
Yeah, made it back. We just barely beat out some of the snowstorms that were happening in Spokane, so we got super lucky making it.
Oh, good. No toaster baths happened.
It was insane.
It was insane. It was just insane,
It was just insane. That's all I got.
Yeah. Was it pretty nice down there in Frisco in general?
So it was like, it was about as cold as we have it here in Missoula, about 35, 40. And it rained every day except for game day.
That's nice.
Yeah, I saw a
sun
video.
Was out on game day.
I saw a video that it was pouring like cats and dogs the Monday after the game.
Oh, yeah, it was rough. I had to throw away like 8 bags of trash from my Airbnb, and I was just getting pelted every step of the way.
That always makes it super fun. So what are your initial reactions to this game by the Grizz and the old Bunnies?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. That's my fault.
No, you're good. You're multitasking right now. I can't be too mad at you.
No, we're good. I got you. I tell you what. Like I said at the beginning, I want to point it out. South Dakota State's the juggernaut. They're the real deal from the get-go.
Oh yeah.
And I still think the Grizz played a hell of a game against a juggernaut team playing at their top level.
Yeah.
Except for the offense, minus the offense. But
minus.
I'll give 3/4 of the credit there. I have to do what I have to do. But the game plan was mostly working along, especially that first half. The Grizz defense was getting dirty, making things difficult for South Dakota State's huge offense. The running game wasn't really going. They couldn't do much in the passing. Yeah. Which is why at halftime you only saw it at 7-3.
Yeah. And it was really just a one-quarter game for SDSU. I mean, that third quarter was the only time that they were really dangerous throughout the entire game, and that was just couldn't find the offense to come back from it. It was kind of tough to watch at points.
Yeah. It kind of seemed like the South Dakota State, they definitely had some mental mistakes there in the first half. That interception that Gronowski threw was for him somewhat uncharacteristic to throw it that far off the mark.
For sure.
And then that punt where you could clearly see, Ben and I were watching on TV. We weren't down there, of course, but the punt returner is, he's waving it off, and the guys never ran away from the ball, and it just pelted that guy right in the back.
Yeah, that was.
Yep.
Brad, do you want to know what I was doing at that point to where I felt like Eric was about to kick me out of his house?
It was close.
As soon as that muff punt happened where the Grizz got the ball back, I was like, you want to know what this feels like right now? This feels like a team of destiny right now. It feels like it. I can feel it. The football gods are there. And then I was completely wrong.
Oh, that first half at that game, we were all feeling it.
Yeah.
We were all feeling it. It was magical. And a little bit of alcohol, but
yeah, it was equal parts,
really, really
equal
cool.
parts,
Yeah, but I remember it, so that's what counts.
Yeah, whenever you have equal parts booze and belief, it's always a bad mixture at a football game.
So, what did you who really stood out for you on that Grizzly defense for the stud of the game? Who was your because they did keep it really close for the first half. That is a fact.
They did. I don't know if I can give one credit to any person. I mean, that whole defense worked as a unit to create the turnover, to get that run stopped. It was our linebackers did a really good job of flowing and sticking along and, made sure everything was in front of them and nothing could happen. That whole defense, there is no one stud, that really kept that defense together. That was a whole unit, playing as one.
And when you look at the stat lines for all the SDSU players, it wasn't like anybody on offense had an amazing day, maybe outside of the Yankee brothers.
Well, yeah, I mean,
the Yankee brothers kind of lit it up, even though, which one did you say you weren't afraid of?
The one that got less.
I can't remember. It's kind of tough to say because one got 10, 11 less yards, but he also got a touchdown. So,
Yeah, well, he did it.
I mean, I feel like the Yankee twins are kind of they're kind of those guys that you're basically hoping to limit. They're gonna do something. You're just hoping to control them a little bit. Keep them. It kind of reminds me. Remember when the Bobcats played Dallas Goddard, when South Dakota State came to Bobcat Stadium and Dallas Goddard was there?
Oh yeah.
And it was you could just tell this was a man among boys, and he feasted. I mean, he was just his bully ball the whole game. That's kind of how those guys are, where it's like, we're just going to limit those guys. And I feel like limiting them is probably holding them to, kind of where they're at. I feel like that is probably how you beat them, is to hold them to only 111 yards combined.
And that was, I'm pretty sure the whole job of the secondary was to focus on keeping it in front, not letting any big breaks happen.
Yeah.
Because South Dakota State didn't start pulling away until that third quarter when those breaks started happening a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, it held together for so long and so good, but, something's going to squeeze through every once in a while.
So here's a question for you, Brad. If you had to guess, what percentage of the crowd was Grizzly fans? Honest guess here.
Honest guess?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to say like 40%.
That's kind of what I was guessing.
Montanans were outnumbered at this game.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's sad. That's sad.
There was a
How
sea
many
of blue in that stadium?
How many of them could speak English, Brad?
Oh, all of them. They were all fantastic up there. Surprisingly, it was pretty good. And met a couple of them, hung out with a little bit of them, eating food, going around visiting Frisco and stuff, and they were acting really polite. I was impressed.
Did any of them have Russian accents by chance?
No, not this time.
There was no Russian accents, so okay. So my conspiracy theory might be toast at this point because there might actually be SDSU fans.
I mean, I hate to give credit to the Grizzlies in any facet for anything, but you do have to give them credit for managing to fill. Because my guess watching it was 60% SDSU, 40% Grizzlies, when the Grizzlies only basically had 3 weeks to buy tickets.
Yeah.
Because they had no idea they were going.
Yeah.
There was very few Grizzly fans that were going to be buying their tickets before, at the beginning of the season, like Jackrabbits were.
Yeah, it's a definite difference between having 3 months to try and figure out how you're going to go to Frisco and having 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a rush for those 3 weeks, man.
Oh, yeah.
How were your seats? Pretty good, or did you go to the standing room?
Did go to the standing room. I liked it, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard.
The standing room was pretty good.
I've heard good things about the standing room there. That really there isn't a bad seat in the house.
No, it was shocking. I was expecting, to be kind of fighting through crowds and just looking at a TV or something, but no, you got a pretty good view just about everywhere.
That's awesome.
How was the noise level of the crowds? Pretty good?
Oh, it was loud. It was definitely loud.
Yeah.
Grizz fans and SDSU fans alike, they were both cheering on, and they knew the crowd mattered for both teams. So everybody gave it their all.
Do you think it's a little bit disrespectful that they make the FCS play their championship at the National Soccer Hall of Fame. Because I felt highly disrespected by that. I was like, can we find any other stadium that we can do this in to where it's like an actual football stadium?
Well, my personal opinion is anything's better than over in Tennessee, where the field gets chunked up and rips apart as you run on it.
Which one is that? Is that like Tennessee's actual field that you're talking about?
No, it's Tennessee Chattanooga, I think.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
So, I mean, soccer stadium, I'll take it. Also the seats were actually not too bad, so.
Yeah.
It was way roomier than what I'm used to.
I guess I just have to be a hater since I'm sitting here in Montana and I didn't get to go to the game. I probably would have loved the stadium if I would have been there. But, I have to make jokes about what the real football is in Europe when we start having to play our national championships in a soccer stadium,
That's because we have to assert our dominance, and that's the most the stadium's going to see all year.
Yeah.
This is our Revolutionary War every single year. Is us we go to where they play that English football and we just tear it up. All right, brother?
So, Brad, honest opinion here. We talked about on the last episode that Montana was going to have to score more than 10 points of offense to get this done without Junior Bergen's heroics on special teams. What was up with the Grizzly offense, in your honest opinion here?
Truly, in my honest opinion,
Yeah.
I think they tried going through Clifton McDowell too much. I think they should have given it. I think on the offensive series, they should have given him some breaks. Not even pull him off the field, just get creative with the play calling a little bit.
Yeah.
But they wanted the ball in his hands as much as they can. But unfortunately, he wasn't warming up properly, to make the right reads or the right cuts or the right throws.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense looking at these stat lines right now because Eli Gilman had 7 carries in this game. Nick Osmo, 6 carries. Clifton McDowell had 13 what they consider carries. He had 2 yards, but it was 13 scrambles, basically, as well as 39 passing attempts. That is a lot to put on a quarterback in a national championship game against a very, very good defense.
Yeah, I agree. And what I noticed, too, like that whole first quarter when the Grizz were moving the ball on offense,
Yep.
that was Nick Osmo and Eli Gilman churning up, grinding it out, eating it up.
And do you know if something happened to Eli Gilman throughout the second half? Because we noticed that he kind of disappeared from the game in general in the third and fourth quarter.
I think that's probably play calling and personnel choice, honestly, is what it looked like. Because Eli Gilman is a great running back. He should be an every down back, if I'm being honest. But, you also think about like Xavier Harris, who was out there quite a bit, getting more touches and end arounds and looks.
Yep.
And I think they're trying to do different style of offensive play calling to try and catch the defense off guard.
Yeah.
Which didn't warrant, I guess the talents of Eli Gilman in their eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just seemed, there was was it a kick return where somebody, they kind of stood up Eli Gilman and one of the South Dakota State players jumped on his back, and then it just seemed like all of a sudden he was only in for a couple more plays. Like they used him very sparingly, and Nick Osmo had basically become the feature back.
Yeah.
It just to us seemed like Gilman possibly got hurt there. And honestly, it seemed like Clifton McDowell might have been a bit hampered there in the second half. I think that, where he did that diving, spinning, whatever happened there at right at the goal line there, it seemed like he might have got a little gimpy too.
For sure.
Yeah, and you know what? That would make sense for, the personnel change for Eli Gilman on the second half of that offense. If he's not good to go, you got to switch it up somehow. I didn't see anything like that happen to Eli, but, I probably just missed the one time.
How mad were you when they called Gilman short on that goal line stand? That 4th and 1.
I can tell he was in.
From your vantage point, he was in,
He was in.
That's like the same thing I say to refs the entire time I'm coaching games. Like every time I'm coaching a game, I'm like, buddy, from 75 feet away, that was definitely a charge. Let me tell you what. You know?
Yeah. I mean, you get it, Dan. You got a little bit of coach bias and fan bias in there, but you gotta fight for that.
Exactly.
But I mean, he was in. No, I'm just gonna say it.
I don't know. That was the toughest thing because we're watching all these replays of it and we see all these different angles, and it was really tough to make the call just because of the way. What was the name of that the defensive player for SDSU?
It was Bach. Bach was his last name.
And so Bach, the way he tackled him, he also grabbed the end of the football. So he didn't allow the end of the football to cross the line. I was like, that's not even a play you can consciously make. Like, you were just making a play at the goal line, and it's just lucky. And I was like, damn, that's a huge play in a national championship.
It was a football guy play.
Mm-hmm.
That's a football god situation, and sometimes it just bounces the other way.
And honestly, if Gilman had even moved that ball away from his stomach, that's a fumble before it crossed, because the way he tackled him, there was all Gilman could do was hold the ball, because honestly, this is a senior linebacker, very, very, very good at what he does.
Yes.
Making a heads-up play on, a guy, and not that Gilman isn't a really good player, but, the way he tackled him, there was absolutely no way he could get that ball out and across without fumbling it. So, it was kind of a heads-up play on his own part, because, if he would have fumbled that, who knows what happens. Yeah, it probably would have gone out to the 25, and then, I think that series ended up with a punt from South Dakota State. But either way, it was a very, very close one. And of course, we're armchair quarterback in there in the living room, we kind of see everything, firsthand and all that good stuff. But in our opinion, the game was called really fair. Honestly, the announcers.
I do think that it was.
The announcers were really unbiased, I thought. Oh, of course, you were at the game, so you weren't listening to it, but they were.
No, but Ryan Leaf was really nice.
What was he? I didn't even. No, he was the radio.
He was on the radio.
Yeah,
we found that out we're listening to the game, and I was like, "Where's Ryan Leaf?"
Yeah. These are two other guys, and they were super unbiased, and I don't think they could have cared less who won that game, but they were just there to call it, and
honestly, that's how it should be too.
Yeah.
Especially
I definitely
a title
appreciated
game like
it.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
So the only other play I can think of that we need to touch on from the first half was there was a 3-and-out by the Grizz that ended in that questionable, maybe a pass interference call. Was that directly after the goal line stop, or was that a couple possessions later?
It wasn't pass interference, it was the fumble. That's what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't remember who fumbled it, but the Grizz player catches the ball, and then South Dakota State tackles him, but he fumbles the ball. The refs called it down by contact and then overturned it.
Okay. Yeah.
That was just I think beauty was basically in the eye of the beholder on that one. It could have gone either way.
Honestly, it looked like he was just down in the first place from my angle, but I'm also hundreds of feet away.
Yeah.
So it was very well possible, and the amount of how bang that play was too. It was that's hard judgment.
Yeah. Bottom line, first half, those defenses, both of them were just flying around.
Oh yeah. It was a huge. If you enjoy watching defense, which I really, really don't enjoy watching at all, it was a great game for anybody who likes defense. But I was supremely bored through a majority of this game. Let me tell you what.
Yeah. It was when you're sitting there watching it, and the first half is what it was, and there was a little bit of excitement here and there, but really, it was a bit of a dry first half. 10 total points.
There was two exciting plays. There was two exciting plays in the entire first half, and that was the goal line situation and then the muff punt.
Well, it looked like it was going to be a long day for the Grizzlies on the very first drive when South Dakota State marches all the way down and scores on the very first drive.
Oh, yeah, and then I coined my new SDSU. I was an SDSU fan for the day, so I was just like, bang, bang, bunny gang. Every single time they did anything good, it was like first down, bang, bang, bunny gang, let's go.
Oh, my God. Well, I wouldn't expect anything less. You guys got the same colors, so.
Yeah, it was an easy transition to make.
Oh, yeah.
You know what was really weird, talking about the colors, was watching Carson Wentz this weekend play for the Rams. Carson Wentz in SDSU colors is like the weirdest thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. It took me so long to adjust to it. I'm just watching Red Zone, and I'm like, this is wrong. This is completely wrong right now.
I feel the same way about every quarterback that plays for the Rams now. Like
Even Matthew Stafford looks wrong.
One start last year, and I was like, nope, cut his ass.
Yeah. I thought Baker looked great in every single uniform he's ever been in. I'm one of the few Baker Mayfield lovers I feel like still left out there in the world. I just think he's entertaining as hell, you know?
I love Baker Mayfield, but do I love him in that Rams color? Nah.
It ain't it. That ain't it, Chief.
They do.
Their yellow is a little bit too like Volt yellow. It's kind of hard to get behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, so what was your biggest takeaway from this game as far, just when you walked away, what was the number one thing that came to mind?
The number one thing that came to mind was I like to on it. R.I.P. Dennis Green. We were who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Yeah.
That we had a defense that was matching up with them and holding them back, and the one thing we needed was just we knew offensively we were going to have hiccups and stuff. We just needed a couple of those breakaways to just keep it going along. And even if we got one touchdown out of it, I do think it would have turned the tide a little bit in the second half.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Any touchdown on any series would have mattered a ton. Yeah,
and so we had them right there. The game plan was working. We just weren't executing at the end of the day. And that's also credit to South Dakota State. Like, they got players that make it really, really hard to execute.
Were you still kind of paying attention to the game when they benched McDowell?
Oh, yeah. I was watching my hero, Kiali Ayat.
I love the pronunciation. That seemed like that was the pronunciation sounded like that was perfect on that one.
Yeah. I've been practicing the mirror for like months ever since I found out he was on the list.
Yeah, he has it's such a great fun name to say though. Ayat. It's the best. Yeah.
So he apparently is going to be the future of the Grizzly program now that McDowell hit the portal.
Yep.
Was that an expected thing for the team, or was that really a surprise to anybody?
No, because we picked him up from 2 or 3 other schools when he transferred to Montana. And he was able to get another year of eligibility, so he's going to go play somewhere else.
Yeah. The rumor is Nebraska.
Good luck to Nebraska, man.
That's what I said. I was like, McDowell, is he really good enough to play for Nebraska?
Well, but I don't know. I don't know if he's there.
I don't know if he's Nebraska either, but maybe something works out for him. Good luck in that. Good luck to those coaches in that too.
You would have to be set up behind a really staunch offensive line to make it work, I feel like.
Yeah, and last I heard, Nebraska is still kind of rebuilding for the past 20 years.
Yeah, I think they have been rebuilding for about that long. The Cornhuskers have definitely had kind of a rough go. Running down some more of the stats, just the rushing game was not there at all throughout this entire game. 47 yards rushing the entire time, 212 yards passing for the Grizzlies. Aaron Times New Roman was your guys' receiving leader. He had 7 receptions for 76 yards. Aaron Helvetica definitely decided to show up for this game, and nice. I was really glad to see that. I was really happy for him. He had a great game, and honestly, the passing was the only thing that the Grizz beat SDSU in. So that was fun to see.
Yeah.
Which which was kind of ironic in a sense too, because they were just bigger plays, and we got a lot of those yards towards the end.
Oh yeah.
When we were desperate, they were boomer. A lot of those were boomer plus bust. Large 10 to 15 yard game plays.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
you could tell South Dakota State watched the Grizzly film and did everything in their power to stop Junior Bergen from just getting the ball. I mean, he had 4 catches for 25
100%.
yards, but what was it? The second, I think it was the South Dakota State kick after they scored in the first quarter. He took it back to the 45 or the 50 yard line. And then after that,
it was about the 45.
After that, they were like, nah,
we're going to go away from that guy every single time.
They literally said, we got lucky with that one. We're not doing it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think South Dakota State's plan at that point was to just, even if they had to sacrifice some yards, kicking it out of bounds, they were just going to do it because they weren't even going to give him a chance to run it back.
No, and that's honestly your only game plan against Junior Bergen in that special teams.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and once again, watching him on his feet is, I mean, I hate to give credit, but you got to give it where it's due. And the dude's balance when he gets hit is, I mean, it's impressive. I mean, it's honestly, you don't see that outside the NFL very often. I mean, the guy's just got a God-given ability to stay on his feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You watch all those punt returns and kick returns of him, too. You go back to those highlights and, of him, running up the sideline. And a lot of those lines he's taken are, tight walks with the sideline there and still getting pushed and toppled, and he's still staying in.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
man gets folded in half and still moves forward.
He has very few returns that are untouched. I can't even think of any. I mean, he's beating the contact.
Yeah. It's a desperation hand grab is what he's really getting most of the time.
So another question here. When you look down at the field, did South Dakota State's those guys look big? Because on paper they read big. Their offensive line on paper is massive.
Oh yeah. Well, that first offensive series, they came out, they all lined up and got set at the exact same time, and I was like, holy crap, that's a brick wall to go through.
Oh yeah.
They were big. They are the real deal. They are big boys.
They definitely made it tough on the Montana rushing game.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be interesting going forward because South Dakota State's losing a lot. They're graduating a lot of guys. And granted, nobody's hit the portal. So, I mean, everybody who's available looks like they're probably going to stay. I did the rumor mill, as it always churns, says Gronowski has mega NIL deals on the table, but haven't heard anything yet.
Also, something we saw when we were trying to find some news on Mark Gronowski is Mark Gronowski going to go to the draft? Do you think that's a real possibility? I mean, you got to see him in person. He did have a great game in the national championship, but we were a little bit skeptical of him and his NFL prospects.
I look at it as very similar to Carson Wentz.
Really?
Carson Wentz also had an all-time line in front of him and amazing receivers and was just able to put the balls in spots where he needed to. And when you have a dominant team winning every game on top of it, it's going to look that much better on highlights as well.
The thing about Carson Wentz is he stayed a quarterback in the NFL. Do you think that Gronowski would stay a quarterback, or do you think he would pivot to, a tight end or something of that form? Because it's obvious the dude can run, the dude can hit, the dude can throw. I mean, is he like a Taysom Hill type? I don't know. I mean,
that's definitely a possibility because he's 6'4", 230 pounds.
Yeah, he's got the size.
Like a Mack truck, and he definitely has the frame to adjust to a tight end or an H-back spot, or if he has the speed to go with it. Because when you get into those secondary spots, the speed gets a little tighter on judgment. But you could be looking at potentially a strong safety.
Yeah. No, he played a really good game, and I have a feeling if the rumors are true and then NIL money is on the table, it kind of seems like maybe his path ought to be take the money now and worry about NFL aspirations later. But that's just my opinion.
And honestly, that's hard because it's like my immediate gut is like, yeah, take the money now, but I'm also 31 years old and not making as much money as any of those guys would in the first place.
Exactly.
Heard that.
I feel the same way. It's one of those situations where it's like, I feel like he's not going to lose anything by staying another year in college.
I don't think so. I think the kicker to that is, you do another year in college, though, you run the risk of getting injured.
The injury is a possibility, but I'm just thinking, I don't think his next season is going to go any worse for him outside of the chance of an injury. I think that he would put up similar numbers, if not better, in another season.
I don't think he'd drop in production at all.
So that just means your draft position is only going to move up. So why go now when your draft position could move up? And maybe if he has another amazing season and still improves from this year, maybe he's a first rounder, And
that's what I'm thinking. I'm trying to think of like next year's quarterbacks that would be going into the NFL draft. This year is the really big class with Caleb Williams and Drake Mayo and Bo Nix and all them.
And Penix and everybody. It's going to be
Penix.
It's a loaded draft class right now. I don't know if I would want to move into that draft class. I think I would be willing to play another year in college, collect some of that NIL money, and then decide to move on after that.
It is going to be
maximize on money. That would be a great idea.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting because if Gronowski does choose to stay at South Dakota State, they're losing a lot, and not saying there isn't good chemistry with younger players on that team and all that good stuff, but they do have to go to Oklahoma State for their first game. It's interesting because if you put it in perspective of all the big time FCS schools, you have South Dakota State going to Oklahoma State, you have North Dakota State going to Colorado, you have Montana State going to New Mexico State, all three of FCS schools going up to play FBS schools. It could really shake things up next year. And boy, I mean, not that Oklahoma State was anything to write home about this year. I'm Iowa State fan, so I follow the Big 12 fairly close. They weren't very good. But man, it seems like if he's going to go play FBS the first game of his South Dakota State season, why wouldn't he just go to the FBS? Yeah.
I don't know, because you can still stay with a team that, you've already got a lot of highlights with and that you've worked with.
Yeah.
You've built the chemistry, and on top of that, what's the ultimate driving force for everybody? We're all competitors.
Yeah. I don't see him transferring. I really think that if he stays in college, I'm pretty sure he's going to stay at South Dakota. They're really trying to get all those guys to stay in. They want to run and have a three-peat. They want to do big things, and I don't see him leaving for anything.
No, I mean it does seem hard to envision him leaving after winning 2 natties in a row. But I mean, I wouldn't blame him if he did.
No. Right.
But yeah, I mean, since we've already basically made you rehash and what was I don't want to call it a total butt kicking, but pretty much a butt kicking.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you that. The second half was nothing.
The third quarter was a butt kicking, but the rest of it was a minor tap, on the old cheeks,
a light spanking,
which is what I'm into most of the time.
Did you do anything else down there that was fun?
Let's see. Got to try out some of the best brisket I ever had. Let's see. We went to Tenders. Went to Tenders down there. Turns out that was a restaurant owned by Torrey Hunter, the baseball player. And, oh, man, some of the best ribs and mac and cheese. And, Oh, it was so dang good. The coleslaw was amazing. Tell you what, they do it right down there for food.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Did you ever get to stop by Billy Bob's?
No, never got the chance to. I wanted to. I fought for it. I really did. But it was like, no, we're going to be doing other things. And I was like, that sucks.
I also found out I was completely wrong calling Billy Bob's the bar from Urban Cowboy, because that was Gillies. Gillies was the bar from Urban Cowboy, but Billy Bob's was from Pure Country or True Country. What's the movie?
I have no idea. I'm not up on my pop culture like
it's
you
not
are.
pop culture. That's the one with George Strait in it. I think it's Pure Country. I can't remember. But it was, and also Unnecessary Roughness. That old football comedy. The Billy Bob's is also in Unnecessary Roughness.
Okay. Did you end up going to that video game museum?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, me and Angie got lost playing video games and doing arcade stuff for a good hour and a half.
Did they have the spotlights on Double Dash Mario Kart like I predicted?
Double Dash Mario Kart didn't even exist in there. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe?
Oh,
yeah.
come on.
Halo? Yeah. Donkey Kong? Yeah. Space Invaders? Yeah. Double Dash? It was like, that's about mid-tier at best.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh.
So it's like they listed it on there as like a game, but it was also like, yeah, this exists.
How could they just forget about the GameCube like that? It was one of the best consoles of all time.
Did.
You know, I don't know how they could forget about it. They had
a special mount and stuff to like display the GameCube and play the GameCube and everything.
Oh, okay, that's a little bit better then. You know, any time splitters, time splitters to be played on there. I remember that was the only game I really played in my youths.
Well, let's see. We did some Super Mario Smash on the GameCube. That was a big one for GameCube. Otherwise, I did a lot of Madden on the GameCube.
Oh yeah. And I don't know. I don't know if I can respect a video game museum without Double Dash Mario Kart. It doesn't really play out.
It doesn't hit the same. It
No.
just does not hit the same.
You know what, you guys? I'll take you down there, give you the right tour, because I cased it out myself, and I know which way to go now.
Yeah, because next year the Cats and the Grizzlies are playing in the Natty, right? I mean, they're going to script it that way.
That would be
That's
insane.
the dream.
Oh my God! If we got a brawl at the national championship, it would be the craziest thing of all time.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine how dangerous it would get between fans? I mean, it would be kind of ugly, I think.
Oh yeah, because everybody's gonna go out and buy a bunch of natty daddies before the game.
Oh yeah, that would be the biggest problem with that game. I don't know if Frisco has enough alcohol for that game.
Yeah. What's this I hear about the stadium running out of beer?
Yeah, we capped out so fast that there was none left. All the vendors I went to, like 6 different lines, they were all out.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, we drank it out.
Did they not do their homework at all?
I don't think so, because they were pouring beers like at the gate, helping us out, getting ready to go. And I'm like, we still have 4 or 3.5 hours until kickoff.
They were preloading you guys
beforehand.
They were preloading you guys because they were like, we don't want to deal with these guys at the end of the game, so we're going to preload them right now.
Oh yeah, well, and that's what it was. Like the problem is some of those standing room sections, there's a bunch of picking tables and benches and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But every fan that I know of stood on all of them so they can get a better view just in case.
Yep.
And I've seen police and security come through at least 15 times and try to kick people out, but it just, that meant nothing.
They were like, good luck.
Everybody's double fisted.
Good luck, man.
And,
How were the bars down there? Bars pretty fun?
I didn't really do the bars. We would go out. Ironically, what we did do, got to eat food, got to try went to the Bamboo House for some of the best Chinese food I ever had. Let's see, we honestly did some Mario Andretti go-karting.
Okay.
You get to throw the helmet on and you go on a multi-layered track and you're cooking. It's awesome.
Wow. That would be pretty intense.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, and I'm not talking like 14-year-olds and 10-year-olds on the track. Like it's 18 and up. You have to have a driver's license.
Oh, okay.
and you have to sign waivers.
We don't want to do anything that doesn't involve waivers.
You know,
Waivers make it fun.
Need some danger. But so you're telling me there was no mechanical bull riding?
No, not
Damn.
not in our purview.
Ah,
And also,
damn.
it turns out Frisco's brand new. Like they're still putting up stores and stuff. Like Frisco they really started putting in stuff only like 15 years ago.
Damn.
Yeah, all pretty new now.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we tried walking around a little bit, see what we can find, but we had to go all the way out to like Plano or Dallas or Fort Worth.
So Brad, what are your thoughts on next season for the Grizzlies? What's the outlook looking like for the old Grizz?
Good question. I think honestly it comes down to how that chemistry works and the style of offense works with our new quarterback with Ayat back there. I think it'll be nice. I think it'll be a good and explosive and provide more options than before. Because from what I've seen, watching Ayat throw, I think he's a better overall passer than what Clifton McDowell was. He's been on point more consistently, and I think that does open up the playbook for deeper shots and crossing routes and open windows that McDowell might not have fit the ball in passing wise.
Are you expecting the same basic outcome of a season to make it is next year a playoff or bust with how many seniors you're graduating, especially the important seniors like the Gubners, the Braxton Hills, some of those guys that are AJ Forbes, kind of irreplaceable in a sense.
Yeah, no, and that's also been the beauty of Missoula too. Linebackers haven't been a problem. You can go through years and years of linebackers that have always stepped up because they set the standard of so long ago that the next person up knows how to rock and roll.
Sure.
And so, just like for you guys though too, every year's playoffs are bust. It's the standard. It's expected.
Mm-hmm. We're really happy to be on that standard now because for a long time that was not the standard.
Welcome
the
to the
standard
club.
was like only beat the Grizzlies. That is the only standard that we have. And then now the last few years it's been like, okay, now we're thinking it's got to be semifinals, championship. We're looking to go big every single year.
Oh yeah.
Also, big shout out to the guy who made it the standard, Don Reed. Rest in peace. That guy definitely made it the standard for Missoula football to make it to be a massive program every single year. That guy was
absolutely.
He was second to none.
He was the one that did set the standard for the entirety of that Missoula program and with the success that it's been.
Oh, 100%.
Because without him, we'd still be dwindling, trying to survive.
Here's another question for you, Brad. Are you expecting a Bobby Houck contract extension? Because I could be wrong on this, but I think the contract's got to be done before spring ball starts, and it haven't heard anything.
Oh yeah, I do. Bobby Houck's already done his traveling around and coaching different teams and stuff. He's settled.
Is that a good thing that he's settled on the Grizzlies?
Do you think he's settling? He's settling for you?
National championship game. I'm not upset about it.
Yeah. The real question here is: do you think Bobby Houck will ever buy a new pair of sunglasses?
Oh no.
I think he's had the same pair of sunglasses since like 2002.
Oh, yeah, and they are still pristine.
Not a scratch on the thing, and I guarantee he hasn't switched out the lenses, I don't know if I can respect a man.
Cloth in his pocket.
Oh, yeah. I keep that microfiber on me, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting, because I feel like, the Bobcats didn't graduate much. We lost a bit to the transfer portal, but more or less the team itself is going to be fairly similar going into next season, whereas the coaching staff is vastly different for the Bobcats. But on the flip side, the Grizzlies are graduating some serious studs, but seem to be probably going to retain probably the entire coaching staff. It'd be interesting to see kind of how things play going forward.
Absolutely. And I think that for both schools, it both comes down to, what are the cultures that have been cultivated in those locker rooms between the players, right? Because Montana State, you got a bunch of guys coming back. You feel the hurt. You got that culture to go back out there, and you know what it takes. Even with the new coaching staff, you guys already have that idea, know what it takes to get to that next level. You've been there.
Mm. I think that's why
the Grizzlies, the graduating class, you're hoping that they set the standard along the way with the younger guys so they could step up and be the next ones up.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why we've been excited that a lot of the coaching hires that we've made this year are internal guys that are just being moved up.
Yep.
Or changed to different positions and just kind of keeping that culture alive and that culture the same as we've seen throughout the last few years. Keeping people in-house is going to be a strength, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. I totally agree because those relationships are already built. The relationships go such a long way. You don't have to do as much. You get another step ahead as a team when you already have those relationships, built up and trusted and contacted.
Now that we're toward the tail end of this thing, are you at all disappointed you didn't listen to my advice and take South Dakota State minus 13.5?
Well, what I decided, I decided on the way down, I was like, I'm going to be a fan no matter what. This is my one game. I'm going for it. Not taking that.
I was watching towards the end of the game, and as soon as they put Ayat in, I was like, Ayat is going to throw a touchdown right now and kill the 13.5 bet. He's going to make it 10-23, and it's going to be garbage time, and it's not going to matter for anything except for degenerate gamblers that took our picks.
Oh, yeah.
But
when I saw him step on the field, I was like, oh, man, here we go. You always feel that sense of hope every time he comes around.
Mm-hmm.
Until our new transfer is pancaking him.
I was kind of wondering if Houck was going to pull like a Nick Saban and just sit Clifton McDowell in the second half and just throw Ayat in. Like throw him in like Tua and just bench Jalen Hurts, throw in Tua and see what happens in the second half. And that did not happen until like very late in the fourth quarter.
No, because how when we started winning throughout the regular season, when we started clicking as a team, we stuck with one quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
That makes all the difference in the world. When you do, I don't know how Montana State does it. Like, I give you guys the most credit in the world. Your guys, the way you're able to run a dual quarterback system, honestly, it blows my mind.
It is tough unless you have that cat culture behind you. You gotta build up that cat culture, and then once you have the cat culture, you don't need anything else. Just very selfless football players.
100%. Everybody on that team is a very selfless player. I have all respect to that because from my experience and typically when I've seen people try to do two quarterback systems and stuff, well, part of it too is they also try to wildly change the play styles to the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And there's always ego about it in the mix. You're a competitor, there's going to be ego involved in it, so that also can be considered detrimental to the morality as well. So when we finally were able to figure out who our quarterback was, it seemed like the weight was lifted off the shoulders and we were able to just continue. And I think he wanted to avoid that feeling again for the title game, because it was a tight game at the end of the half, and if we stick what we got, we've been able to power through before, and it just I guess it just didn't turn out this time.
Oh, yeah.
It does seem like Houck has some serious quarterback loyalty. Like, he is willing to stick it out with those guys. He was willing to stick it out with McDowell, thick or thin, through everything, no matter what he was playing like, because it was obvious in the second half. He wasn't – he was checking down throws when he had a wide open field in front of him, like he was just certain he couldn't make it or something. I don't know. And not that he wasn't being productive on some of those check down throws, but it just seems like, why wouldn't you just, we've seen him run. Why wouldn't you just keep it and get the first down instead of throwing it to your guy, a couple of those came up a little short of the first down.
That was the argument I was trying to make, for you guys last time. Like, if those opportunities are there, those are the ones that we could capitalize on. And it just, wasn't capitalizing on it. Bobby Houck's always been known for sticking with his quarterbacks. So ever since his first stint, he's always rode with one guy he deemed.
I mean, that's fair. Fair.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Very fair. Loyalty is what's going to bring in other players as well, I mean, you have to have that reputation in order to bring in the recruits that are necessary to make these runs.
Basically, I think what's going through Bobby Houck's head is he has a rapport with giving Clifton McDowell hugs, so Clifton McDowell knows how to dodge the nose. He's not going to get poked in the eye by the nose.
It takes some talent. I mean, he's like, how evasive is your quarterback? And he's like, well, every time I've hugged him, he's never been poked by the nose. So he knows how to find the angles.
That's a good thing about him. He always kept his head on a swivel. He knew.
Oh yeah. Anything could come for you at any given second. Keeping players on their toes with his nose.
Oh yeah, good stuff. Yeah, definitely appreciate you coming on and letting us pour a little vinegar on your wound.
Oh, it's the way it goes. I gave a little bit of trash talk last time. I got to take it like a champ.
I have to respect it. I don't know if I would have been willing to come onto a show if I had just lost the national championship, but we weren't even there, so it kind of makes it this is the same situation we've been in for a month, just watching the entire rest of the playoffs. We've just been like, yeah, well, this is fun, but we're still sitting at home with not much to cheer for.
Yeah.
I tell you what, like the plane rides back and sitting at the Airbnb and stuff, I wasn't having it.
Yeah, I
got it out of my system, away from public eye.
You got plenty of time to process it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we get a whole off season to wait for football to start again. Yay.
Woo.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely appreciate you coming back on and kind of recapping what you saw as a fan in person down there in Frisco. It was pretty fun to kind of hear the ins and outs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's a one in a lifetime experience. If you guys get a chance, whether it's the Bobcats or not, I'm not going to push the Grizz this time. I do recommend it, no matter who's in that championship, because that's a once in a lifetime experience and atmosphere for sure.
Hopefully, like we were saying, we'll both get the opportunity to go there for a Brawl of the Wild in the national championship. I think that would be the ultimate right there.
Yeah, if they could.
Yeah, and I'm rooming with you guys, and I'm just going to make it hard.
Oh, that would be a tough Airbnb for anybody, any neighbors to deal with. No neighbors would want to be around that place at all.
Well, probably not. I just need to petition the FCS and the NCAA to move the national championship to before calving season starts. That'd be fantastic.
That might help you out just a little bit.
I don't think they're going to care, but I can try. I'm just going to have to write scathing emails every day.
Well, you might be turning around Montana Sports Bet too, so you keep at it.
I will.
All kinds of petitions coming out this offseason, petitions on sports bet, calving season, just giving the people what they want.
No, calving season remains the same. It's the game that needs to change.
The game is the game, brother.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, that sounds like it was a lot of fun. We're pretty jealous that, I didn't want to go watch the Grizzlies at all, but it would have been fun to have been down there.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely a good time down there. Thank you guys again for having me on. I appreciate it. I always love talking to you guys. It's so fun.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on, Brad. It was awesome to have you these last 2 weeks. We hope to make you our future Grizz correspondent in the future so that we don't have to actually look into Grizz news and you can just give us all the Grizz news every once in a while.
Yeah, that would be very ideal.
I stay ready. You make the call. We got the Grizz corner for days, brother.
On site, anytime, day or night. You guys will be hearing from Brad anytime he is ready.
Perfect. Yeah, it saves us a little bit because neither Ben or I really want to look up the Grizzlies. So
No,
if you
we
do
don't
it
want to
for
spend
us,
any time on that.
yeah.
I mean, it is the Cats pod, so I get it.
Yeah.
We still have to include some Grizz stuff because it is the Cats pod.
Usually it's only when we find things to talk trash about. So it's not we don't learn anything good about them.
no.
That sounds like a typical Cats pod.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. So
All right, big news on the Bobcat front. Big news for the Bobcats all around. We have a mix-up in the coaching staff.
yeah, big mix up. Going to be a very new look Bobcat coaching staff coming up.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
A lot of
exciting
changes
stuff.
defensively and offensively, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have Coach Daly jumping up to be the defensive coordinator. That happened a while ago.
Yep. Excited
And-
for that.
And now we have Tyler Walker, the new offensive coordinator for our Montana State Bobcats. I mean, I love internal work.
Yeah.
I think it's super respectable, especially with how fast this news came out that House Wright was going to Akron. And Tyler Walker is all of a sudden the new offensive coordinator within 2 hours.
Boom. It seemed like they got announced at the same time. It was like Taylor Housewright is gone. Tyler Walker is in.
Yeah.
Right away.
Yeah, immediate. And so it just makes you think that this guy was next and they knew he was next for a while.
Yeah. I love that. I love the no hesitation. There might have been some murmurings and mumblings going on behind the scenes, or there might have been a lot of conversations that made this transition seem so quick. But also at the same time, just the fact that you know who your guy is right away and you don't have any hesitation about it. I think that says a lot. And also, coach one of our favorite groups to watch on the field this year. He was in charge of some of our favorite players on the team.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, this guy, tight end, fullback coach, and other than South Dakota State, Montana State is the next tight end U.
Yep.
I mean, you have Derek Snell and Trayton Pickering on the same team.
They were both just electric to watch on the field every single game. And then also the young guys seemed like they were doing pretty damn well for freshmen.
Oh, yeah.
When they got thrown in because of injuries and stuff, which is a tough position to put a young kid into, they seem like they answered the call right away. And so having that next man up mentality, having those people prepared right away, I think that speaks well for Tyler Walker. Coach Walker, sorry.
Yeah, he's got what seems to be a pretty good resume. I mean, he's been a lot of places, done a lot of things, been to a lot of different areas. Yeah. And, I mean, just how fast they made this move, it really seems like it must have been planned.
It says a lot. Like, if you're Vegan's guy, then you're my guy right away. And just like a meteoric rise throughout the ranks, because he's been with us since 2021, but it was like director of recruiting, boom. Tight ends coach, boom. Offensive coordinator, boom. They obviously see a lot out of this guy.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's announced that he's also keeping tight ends and fullbacks. Mm-hmm. Like, he did a good enough job with that. They're going to roll with him and keep him they're going to give him more responsibility while also keeping his current responsibilities. And with what he's done, I think it's a great choice.
Yeah.
But like I said, internal hire, love it. Love the Daily hire. I mean, now we're looking for a QB coach, and should we go looking in the Chamber of Secrets for that QB coach?
I think so. I think we got one in the chambers already. We got one in the chambers ready to go. New QB coach, Sean Chambers. Let's just make it happen. Let's keep him in the building. I just want to talk to him. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, how cool would that be? He graduates and comes back, coaches the quarterbacks for our Montana State Bobcats.
Fun. We don't even get rid of the big cat, little cat offense. The big cat becomes the bigger cat.
Yeah.
The wise elder cat. The wise elder cat in the locker room taking over everything. I also like that Coach Walker is a young dude. Like, he's very young for a coach, it feels like. 34 years old, probably, just a little bit older than us. It feels like that's a really cool thing to have on the team, and it's a cool energy that you can bring to an offense and new ideas and everything like that.
Well, and of course, we know nothing about the inner workings of the locker room and all that good stuff, but I mean, you have to imagine this guy's got a pretty good rapport with the whole locker room, with the whole coaching staff. That's why I love internal movement, because there is no new relationship building and we're not that far away from spring ball. I mean, a couple months the Bobcats will be back in action. So that's all the time they would get to build new chemistry with everybody. But this guy's already, got a bit of a leg up because he's already got it.
Yeah,
already got the chemistry.
They're not getting introduced to a new coach. They're not getting introduced to a new scheme entirely. I'm sure Coach Walker's going to want to change a few things about the way he's running things, but it's not like it's going to be everybody's starting at square one.
I'll be the first one to tell you, we get more tight end action in our offense. I'm all for that. I mean, it worked so well last year. Mm-hmm. You put more tight end work in, along with our stable of running backs and our stud wide receivers. I mean, I don't see how we go backwards with this.
No, it seems like a definite positive direction move. Doesn't change a lot, but also he's going to add his own flavor to the offense. I watched a video from the beginning of last season, I believe, where Coach Walker was discussing his expectations for tight ends and what he looks for in a team during practice. And for the first half of this video, I was sitting there and I was like, this is a lot of coaching talk. This is a lot of kind of rah-rah. There's a lot of like cliches and everything going. Then he broke into this one section, and I feel like a little bit of his actual personality came through, and not just what you would do when you're recording a seminar or making a coaching video for some master class.
Yeah.
I feel like it came through, and I wanted to show you that moment right here. So just listen in for a second, and then tell me how you feel about this guy who's about to be leading our offense.
Give it to me.
Front end to lay the foundation. Practice expectations. We're going to bring juice, baby. We're going to bring juice. We're going to have a little swag to us. Okay, we're going to compete at everything we do. We're going to be mentally and physically tough. And we're going to do everything with relentless effort. And that's the expectations out there on the practice field.
Coach, let's bring the juice, baby.
Yeah.
We're going to bring the juice, baby. I was
Yeah.
like, that's it. That's it for me. Mr. Walker, I will bring the juice. We will bring the juice on the microphones all year long. You bring the juice in the play calling. The players will bring the juice on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the fact that he resembles Choate, but also has the same attitude as Choate.
Yeah,
guys,
he's like young, skinnier Choate.
Those guys going to be,
Lanky.
come on. Choate's not.
He's not big, but he's not like this guy looks like an actual tight end is what I'm saying,
I feel like this guy's going to have his guys ready to run through a brick wall.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like these guys will be willing to run through a brick wall.
He seems serious enough to where it's a guy you're going to respect and want to follow him, but he's also got a little bit of fun in him.
Yeah.
I think he's got a little bit of fun in him, and I love to see that on the offense in general, and I think that helps out the entire team.
Yeah, no, that's cool to see that. I think that I love the expectations. I mean, it's just a really good list of things that everybody needs to do. I mean, do it, you will be good. You don't do it, we're gonna have problems.
Yeah, I don't know if this was a full team thing for the Bobcats at the beginning of the year, but I love how the bottom of every single one of his slides, it just says "eat." Just get ready. Just get in there and eat, baby.
We're going to feast, boys.
We're feasting. We got the juice, and we are eating today. Let me tell you what. We are going for it. Coach Walker, the era begins now, and I am excited for it.
Absolutely. Let's go. This thing's going to get fun. All we're doing is getting more excited for, unfortunately, something that is a lot of months away.
Yeah. I want to clip. We're going to bring the juice, baby. And just make that a soundboard item for us, so
Absolutely.
that I can just anytime we need a little bit more energy, I'm just gonna hit we're gonna bring the juice, baby. The juice.
Yeah, no, big things.
Oh yeah,
this is a new look coaching staff. I mean, the team itself going to be pretty darn similar, but I mean, this is a very, very different coaching staff, and I'm pretty excited to see how these things shape up for us. I feel like we're on the right track.
Oh yeah.
In vegan, we trust.
In vegan, we trust forever and always. You know? Why would we think he's going to do anything wrong to us? Also, one more thing to bring up about Coach Walker: his email address listed on the Montana State sports page, just football at Montana MSU Bobcats.com. football. You know, this dude, that's all he's about. That's all he cares about, just football.
Guy.
Nothing mentioning his name, his position, anything. He is just football. If you want to talk football, he's the email to send it to, okay?
Yeah. Football at. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
That is the dude. Also, we were thinking about calling his phone number since it's listed here, but I feel like that's a little bit too invasive. Yeah. I really do want to call you Coach Walker, though. I want to say congratulations on getting this position. We are super glad to see what you are looking to do with the offense in the future.
Yeah, going to be fun. Definitely going to be fun.
To flip it over to the defensive side for some Montana State news real quick, we had one more transfer portal addition out of Washington State. His name is Alec Eckert. Eckert.
Power 5 transfer from Washington State. I mean, he's got the size, the ability to just walk in and compete for basically a starting defensive lineman job right off the bat.
Yeah, he could be right there with everybody.
Yeah, I think I would be very surprised if we don't see quite a bit from him right off the bat. I mean, he's got experience, and it really bolsters our defensive line, which we were kind of hoping for maybe another defensive piece through the portal. And once again, the portal taketh, but the portal also giveth.
The portal giveth, and the portal taketh away.
Yes.
And in this moment, it gave us something that I think is going to fill a spot that we not desperately needed, but also it was pretty important to fill this spot. We don't know if he's going to be day one starter. Like, that's obviously going to be decided by actual people who know things about football. But it seems like he'd be the right type of player to start filling in for somebody like Seabass, where we're looking to fill that spot. And we already have a lot of guys that are staying on that defensive line. The Killer Bees are mostly intact outside of a graduate and Seabass.
Yep. Yep. And unfortunately, the Killer Bees doesn't work anymore because he's more of a Killer E. But
yeah, he could be the E at the end of Bees, I guess. I don't know. I got to come up with a new nickname now. They really should have thought about it. Let's see if he's willing to change his name to Balak. What's up, Balak? How you doing today? Number 99 coming through, Balak. Also, respect his Twitter page, X page. Sorry, I'm sounding like an old man. I still call it Twitter. X. On X, he just has a picture of the Hulk as his banner behind him.
Banner. No pun intended there.
Yeah, his Bruce Banner. His Bruce Banner is just a picture of the Hulk right there. And I think that is, like, that's old school Hulk, isn't it?
That's the original one. There's definitely some nerd showing in us right now, but yeah. No, it's going to be fun to see how he fits in and where he fits in, because Seabass definitely left, a pretty Valdez-sized hole on our defense. So I think he's going to do a good job starting to repair that hole.
At least fill it in for a while, or figure out what we're going to do with this defensive line, because it was one of the stronger parts of our team as a whole, I feel like. I feel like we talk about every single part of the team like it's a strength, which to a point it is, but the defensive line was really balling out all year long. So it's cool to see another guy coming into that situation.
Yeah, to me, these guys, the transfer portal has been slow for it seems like for everybody, but in the same sense, the positions of need are being addressed with it. Of course, we had a fantastic recruiting class that covered all aspects of a team, but it seems like they're really going after certain positions more so than just just general players.
Yep.
And finding ones that are going to walk in and be able to fit that culture, that locker room, and I think it's going to be pretty cool.
They're picking the right people. They're not picking for some need that we have where it's like, well, we're only looking for DBs. We're only looking for safeties. We're only looking for one specific position. No, we're looking for the right people to join the culture.
Yeah, exactly. So, we didn't lose a whole lot via graduation. Transfer portal is what it is, and the incoming freshmen and the transfer portal players, this is shaping up to be a very, very nice offseason for our Bobcats.
Yeah, it's looking really positive. A lot of the recruits that we brought in are looking very strong right now. I tried to go to Alec Eckert's huddle link that's on his Twitter, but that doesn't work apparently. It just took me to the general huddle page, so I couldn't really look at him. Just judging by his arms, he does resemble the Hulk, so I understand why he has that as his Bruce Banner on the backside there.
Yeah, I think it was said as something that was like 6'3", 230 or something like that. So
yeah,
probably pretty darn athletic, and I have this sneaking suspicion he's going to find himself on top of some quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah. And let me tell you, you won't like him when he's angry.
No.
You will not like him one bit when he is angry. When he is angry, he is going to be a problem.
Luckily for him, he doesn't turn green when he gets angry. That we know of.
That we know of. You know, he might change shades.
To be honest, I have never seen Alec Eckert and the Hulk in the same room.
No, I've never seen them in the same room.
Suspicious.
No, it is a little bit suspicious. We will have to dive deeper into that in future episodes. Do we have any other news to cover for the Bobcats? We had some Hall of Fame announcements last week.
Yeah.
I think the big one was Mr. Denarius McGee. I think that is the one we would most likely be talking about. There was some other track and field ones. I think there was one other coach that I didn't really know much about, but Denarius McGee being on there, congratulations, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
fully
deserved.
100% deserved. I mean, he was kind of at the forefront of the major resurgence of the Bobcat football program. It was kind of him, a lot of really good players at the time, but Denarius McGee was right there at the front of everything, slinging the rock, running the ball, just hyper athlete,
and just helping us like build back the culture, like you said.
Yeah,
it was a huge part of it because it got people excited about Bobcat football again because we had such a real football dude and a great player at quarterback, which we hadn't seen in a few years. So it was awesome just to see that.
Yeah, yep. Oh, big congratulations to D. McGee. Super pumped to see him go into the Hall of Fame. He is very much deserved.
Huge ups to you.
So.
All right, so on that note, thank you so much, Denarius McGee, and I think we're going to close out this episode real quick. Thank you to all of the listeners out there. Make sure you rate us 5 stars, whatever platform you are listening to this on. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram. Follow us in person if you really feel like it. Just like start stalking us. We are welcoming all stalkers at this point. Thank you guys for all of your support throughout this first season, and I hope you're looking forward to hearing us talk about our Brawling with History series and a lot of the things throughout the offseason. Hopefully we can line up some interviews soon. What do you think, Eric?
I think super excited for a lot of good episodes coming up, and definitely appreciate all the support from everybody, and I guess we'll talk to you next time.
All right, see you guys next week. Have a great week.
Adios.